Hey guys, my name's Crystal Kenny, and I'm in love with creating. All things artistic and imagination involved. I'm an American girl who chased her creative dreams all the way to Paris, France, making a living using photography. This podcast takes you inside the stories of all the artsy folks I've met along the way and gives you that extra push to discover your creative gifts. The desire to create is deeply inside each and every one of us, and I give you the tools and inspiration to find a new way of living a more creative life. This is La Vie Creative, the podcast. Today on the show, we're back with Sarala Terpstra. I interviewed Sarala about a year ago, and she was planning to move to France. She was focused on plant-based cooking, and now she is living in France, living the dream, and already coming out with her second cookbook. We talk about what's changed since a year and what it's like to live in France. So welcome back to the show, Sarala. How are you today?
Hi, Crystal. I'm so happy to be back. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
It has been, I think, over a year now since we spoke. You are my first guest that I've had as a return guest, and I felt it was really important to have you back on the show because so much has changed since we last spoke. You were planning on moving to France, and now you've made it happen.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy because last time we spoke, I was in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and I was like sitting in a little closet in my little apartment and had no idea if France was going to happen. And now I am sitting in a 500-year-old house in France. And yeah, it still blows my mind.
So dreams do come true.
Yeah.
I mean, so many of our listeners are dreaming of doing exactly what you did. Walk me through the process. Like, how did you make it happen finally?
Well, I first want to say that I do think, I know it's an unpopular opinion maybe, but I do think the whole process was easier than I expected or that I had read about. I didn't, my visa though was a long stay tourist visa. So, depending on what kind of visa you're getting, I don't know how it is for spousal or business visa, but I will say the visa process that I went through was way easier than I expected.
Yeah, that would definitely give people hope too, because I think a lot of people shy away because they're like, where do I even get started? Like, it just seems impossible because you do read all these horror stories.
You do.
But I feel like it's the same way, like, when you read reviews for like hotels or restaurants. Like, only when people are like angry, they want to go write stuff on the internet. There's so many people that are happy that just don't write anything because they're fine,
Exactly, like me. I should write my story. I haven't bothered to.
Yeah. Because you're like, everything works out. I have
nothing to complain about. No, it was pretty easy. So I have my husband and my daughter. So the three of us back in Michigan last end of summer 2021 applied for a long stay tourist visa in France, which gives you the right to live in France for a year. You are allowed to work for yourself, like if you have an online business or you work for a company outside of France. You aren't allowed on that visa to seek employment in France. So that was the caveat. But I had online work teaching English. So that's how we made that happen. And we also had some savings. So between my online English teaching income and some savings, that's what we used to show that we'd be able to support ourselves. And that was really the main thing that mattered. It seemed like in the end, that's like what they were most interested in was how are you going to take care of yourself?
Yeah, they're like, you got to have some money.
Yes.
That's so true. Like with any of the visas, they just want to make sure you're not going to drain the French system. So as long as you can prove that you have some money, they're like, okay, come on in, you can earn some money. And how was it with your daughter and your husband? Were they like, oh gosh, she's crazy, she's making us leave? Or were they completely on board with coming?
Well, my husband is a big Francophile too. So it was his dream as much as mine. So he was really excited. And my daughter was only like almost 3 when we moved. So she was young enough that she didn't fully understand it. And she has integrated very well. She's almost fluent in French because she goes to an école maternelle, which is like a preschool here. And today was actually her first day back after Christmas break. And she was like running to school because she couldn't wait to see her friends. So yeah.
Oh, that's so cute. So like you just dropped her in school and you're like, okay, she speaks no French. Here you go. And then she just learned from being there.
Well, almost, but actually because we were thinking of moving to France, we had started letting her watch French TV a little bit every day, like her shows like Peppa Pig or things that she liked, but just only in French. And so she was starting to learn French. She learned a lot of French through TV before we moved here. And then I know
That's
some
great.
French, so I would try to speak to her in French too. And I think that did prepare her, so she wasn't super shocked.
So now that you've made the dream come true, you're living, is it everything you thought it would be?
Oh yeah, because I wanted it for so long. I'm like, I have nothing to complain about. It's like anywhere, there's ups and downs, but what I love about living here is like, it's like not chronically bad, you know, it's just a bad day, but I'm not ever chronically stressed here.
Mhm.
Because life here is just, to me, so much more laid back than the US and other places I've lived. And there's just so much beauty every day
Yeah.
here.
And where exactly are you in France?
I'm in the south. I'm about 2 hours from Marseille, 1 hour from Montpellier. And I live like
Nice.
10 minutes by bike from the Mediterranean Sea, which is really nice. Uh,
Oh my
yeah.
goodness.
Yeah, I live in Occitanie.
It sounds dreamy. I've never been there, but we love the South. We like get down there as
Yeah.
much as we can. And I think you could probably confirm this as well. It's much cheaper housing that way than like in Paris, for
Yeah,
example.
yeah, we knew we couldn't live in Paris, especially with a daughter and stuff, and we
Hmm.
needed the space. And so definitely this area, if you are moving to France and you're on a budget like we were, I do think this is a really good place to start or to even stay long term. Um, and
Hmm.
we still haven't actually rented a French apartment. I mean, through a French landlord. We have been
Hmm.
renting long term vacation properties, which are the properties of like American, Canadian, British, Irish families who come here in the summer and then just have their property sitting here the rest of the year. So that's worked out really
Oh,
well.
that's so
Yeah, it's been
nice.
really nice because we don't have to worry about a contract or like things like that. So
Yeah. And how do you find them? Like, where do you look?
the best website I've found is Long Term Rentals in France. Pretty straightforward. And the
Okay.
owners of that website, most of the properties are in the south, I'll say, but the owners of that website are really
Hmm.
helpful, and we've had very good experiences on there. The properties we've stayed in have all been historic and really nicely furnished, so it's been very convenient.
Nice. I think you've given so much valuable information already. People, if you're dreaming of moving to France, here you go. Get that long stay visitor, rent from a local Brit,
Yeah.
and you'll be good to go. Not so complicated. And how has your life changed since moving to France full time?
Oh, I think, I was thinking about that the other day, and I think there's a lot of things that are different in Europe, and I'm still learning that on a daily basis here. But I feel like I just kind of calmed down a lot in many ways. I kind of take, because things aren't open 24/7 here and life is slower, I think I take things in stride a little better. I was also coming out of a very
Hmm.
heated political climate in the US. But just being in France, where
Yeah.
we went through the election, and it was like I was here during when Macron got reelected, and it was very peaceful
Yeah.
compared to the US. So
Yeah.
I feel like it's made me a lot more just relaxed, and I feel more at ease here. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. It's a slower paced
yeah,
life.
yes, definitely, it is.
And and you're a cook that specializes in plant-based cooking, and you've already written 2 cookbooks. Congratulations to you.
Thank
You've
you.
just finished your second one. Talk a little bit about the cookbook and what's been going on.
So I started cooking vegan French food when I was still living in the US during the lockdown of 2020 because I wanted a project, and
Mhm.
I was, I'd recently gone plant-based and was interested in veganizing French food because I just wasn't finding a lot of resources on it. So then I started sharing my recipes on
Mhm.
Instagram, and then that led to my first cookbook, which is like classic French recipes veganized. So that's what I've been doing for almost 3 years now. And now living in France, I have newer perspectives on this, and I'm learning even more regional dishes. And it's nice to be able to live here and get the cultural backdrop with the food. So I do think it's
Mhm.
helping me understand French cooking more.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Like, how has your recipes and your cooking evolved since being here? Like, how has it changed? Is it like having access to that food, or how has it helped you to make better recipes and change how you've created these plant-based recipes?
Definitely. I did realize that our American, at least because I'm American, so that's my perspective, our American perspective of French food is still sometimes stuck in the Julia Child era. So, like, you know,
Yeah.
coq au vin, like I've talked to a lot of French people and they're like, I've never made that. I've never eaten that. So, um, it's kind of outdated. And even like before I would moved here, I would look for French cookbooks and French blogs, and they would claim that this was like classic French food that every French person eats. And then I'd move here and I wouldn't see it anywhere, or I'd ask a French person and they say they hadn't eaten that. So I guess it's like anywhere in the world, there's not one set thing. But one thing that
Yeah.
I think I've changed a lot on is just eating really seasonally. Like I went back to the
Hmm.
US in November for my sister's wedding, and my dad gave me some blueberries and strawberries, and I was like, it's November. I can't eat blueberries and strawberries. I was like, oh, I'm becoming so
You
French.
become too. They are super seasonal
Yeah,
here. It's funny because I've gone to like stores and been like, "Oh, I really like some blueberries." It's like, nope, you can't get
can't get
those.
them.
Like, it's not the season.
Yeah,
Yeah, don't even bother.
yes.
And so with your second cookbook, what did you focus on? More of things that people really actually make on a daily basis?
Actually, my second cookbook was just a really fun idea that came to me, that I wanted to do something for entertaining, because I think French people are very good at entertaining and doing it without it being too much of a stressful thing. Um, so I wanted to make
Yeah.
a cookbook that was about kind of entertaining the French way, but that was plant-based, because, nowadays I've talked to people who are like, oh, my daughter's plant-based, or I have friends, and I never know what to cook for them. So, and it was also for
Mhm.
plant-based people themselves who are like, I'm having friends over who aren't plant-based. I'm not really sure what I should make. Like, so I was trying to kind of tie that all together into a book that would be helpful for people in having a nice dinner party, but that is plant-based, with lots of gluten-free options. And that is, the focus really
Lovely.
was on like how I think what the French do very well is like presentation.
Mhm.
Yeah. So,
Oh, I'm very excited.
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so talk about like how you got the ideas. Did you just kind of study what was going on around you in town, or did you like you just really want to teach people how to do it without the stress and make it good, make everybody happy?
Yeah, I did. I got ideas from just living here, I guess, from being at the supermarket, the markets, restaurants, from being invited to people's homes, from just observing how people eat. And one thing I have
Mhm.
definitely learned this year is that French food is very good at presentation, but
Mhm.
the flavors are not always as strong as maybe what an American or an Anglophone or non-French person would be used to. So,
Yeah.
but the
Yeah.
presentation is so pretty that it's like that's the wow factor.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a little
Mhm.
jewel, it's too pretty to
Yeah.
eat. And when you tell the French people that you meet that you have a plant-based diet or you're vegan, do they understand what that means? Because I know, like, I mean, 10 years ago, I had friends who were vegetarian and French people were like, "Oh, so you eat chicken?"
Oh
So I
yeah.
can't even imagine like telling a French
No,
person
that's
10 years ago you're vegan. They'd
yeah.
be like, "What is that?"
No, they definitely that and I am not vegan. I mean, I don't consider myself vegan. I do consider myself plant-based. But I
Mhm.
I do, tell them, I eat a plant-based diet, and they do say things like, "Oh, so chicken and fish," and so that actually has been another thing that has been, a new thing I've had to navigate here. I came with a very open mind. I was like, it's not the U.S., and in the U.S. it's very mainstream to be vegan, and I knew it wasn't here, so I wasn't sure what to expect. I haven't had anyone be rude to me about it yet, but I have had to be more
Mhm.
flexible with how I eat. Like it's so mainstream in the
Yeah.
US. And even I was in the UK like a month ago, and it was like there was just as many vegan options as non-vegan everywhere you went. It was insane. But here it's really hard.
Yeah.
So a decision that like my family and I had to make was just to be a little more flexible. Otherwise we would just have no social life here. And with my daughter going to school, like she eats at the canteen. And so we're, you know, we still eat as vegan as possible and eat, plant-based at home, but it's uh, something I've had to just kind of adapt to in France.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it is changing, like you said. Like, I mean, you're like Paris. I've even seen restaurants that are calling themselves like vegan restaurants. I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think they knew what that word was. And they're like, this is a vegan restaurant.
Yeah,
I think it's like catching on
it is.
slowly but surely.
I think it's still considered a trend,
And
though.
what's
From what I've talked to with French people,
yeah,
they consider it a trend. So
yeah, because I remember like when bagels came out and like it was like the baguette and it was like such a trend. Like everyone was doing like bagel sandwiches and stuff.
yeah.
Now they're like all gone. You don't see anymore like the it's like
Oh,
Einstein Brothers or whatever.
huh. Interesting.
But there used to be more. Yeah. And so what is the most difficult part of creating plant-based French recipes? Like what is something you really struggle with when you're creating your new recipes?
Uh, Recreating meat centric, like where meat is the main, like a big piece of meat is the main focus of the plate. For like a gratin or
Yeah.
something is easier, but where if it's like a steak or, a thing of duck or something, those ones I struggle with because it's
Mhm.
like you can't just recreate a big slab of meat with plants. So I do tend to
Yeah.
focus more on like the tarts and the gratins and soups and things like that are easier to make plant-based.
Yeah, to recreate. And what is the main difference between plant-based and vegan? Like vegan is just like there's no animals involved at all. Plant-based you can still eat like honey
Mhm.
and things like that.
Yeah, it's I was just talking about this morning with my husband, but it's interesting. I think plant-based is kind of an ever evolving term and it's a slightly newer, at least more mainstream. It's become more mainstream more recently. Vegan is a
Mhm.
lifestyle where it's not just about what you eat, but it's like your clothes, you stand, it's like your stance on animal welfare. And so whereas plant-based, it is about what you eat. It's about the focus is on eating a whole food diet that's plants, or at least the base
Mhm.
is plants, so mostly plants. And the way I like see it for myself is I don't consider myself vegan because it's like, to me, it's not about the absence of animal products. It's about the presence
Mhm.
of wonderful, abundant, beautiful fruits and vegetables filling up my plate. So
Mhm.
that's my focus.
Yeah, see more about vitamins. Yeah, it's more about like health.
Yes, yes, and I think with the UN and different organizations saying that we should cut back, the planet should cut back on animal products for the environment. I think the plant-based diet. There's a lot of people in the plant-based diet who are also kind of environmentalists. I consider myself in that category as
Mhm.
well. Who it's like, they've said even if everyone just cut back a little bit, it would go a long way. Or you can cut back a lot if that works for you.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, yeah. It definitely affects our planet, and that's been a main topic for a while now about how we can help, better our
yeah,
planet and things like that, and just like a little bit more plant-based diet would help a lot.
yes.
And do you feel like the world of plant-based diets and veganism, do you think that it's just a passing trend, or do you think people are really going to commit to this or even be forced into it? I mean, I know there's been talks of like water shortages and meat shortages. Like, do you think this is something that is the future?
Well, I do think that I'm not sure about the vegan diet because I'm not in like really tight vegan circles as well. So I don't know what
Mhm.
all the news is happening in that movement. But as far as plant-based goes, I know there's a lot of people who are interested in cutting back for health, for the environment, and I even had family and friends who were like, "Oh, I bought your cookbook," who aren't vegan or plant-based at all, but they're like, "Meat got so expensive, so I'm gonna like, I
Yeah,
need some ideas." And I think that is the way the
yeah,
world's going. Meat is getting more expensive. World population is hard to feed with the system we have.
yeah,
So I do think that
yeah.
and growing plants, it does take less resources, and it's easier to feed people with that. So I
Mhm.
do think that is the future. Yes.
Yeah. And what's something that you really miss from cooking back in the States? Is there something that's like more difficult to get your hands on or as far as making your cooking now?
I miss vegan ice cream. I know that's not cooking. That's just junk food, but like you can get it anywhere in the States, at any like grocery store, supermarket, Trader Joe's, whatever. Here it's a unicorn. I
Uh-huh.
actually don't think I've ever seen it. So at least not where I live. So
Oh, yeah, maybe because where you live, because in Paris now you can get it, they have the vegan Magnum bars,
oh, lucky.
and they're in, like, France and
Oh, that sounds so nice.
Carrefour. You gotta go to a Carrefour, they usually have them there
I checked the
sometimes.
Carrefours here. I think Carrefour's they're the products are decided by the people because this region is very
Yeah,
traditional. So yeah.
yeah, yeah, they're not buying the vegan,
No.
ice cream there. And what's some advice you have for people who wanna try a plant-based diet and they might feel intimidated or they don't really know where even to get started?
Hmm. I think just start small. You don't need to jump all in and like don't. I think it's like with any type of thing that's a new change. If you do just a little bit to start, you're more likely to stick with it. Just take baby
Mhm.
steps. It's kind of like with me. I do yoga every day, but I only do 10 minutes. And if I know that if I
Yeah.
tried to do an hour, I would have just never stuck with it. So um,
Mhm,
I
mhm.
think it's better to just do a little and stick with it than not. And I also think don't try to, if you're interested in going plant based, don't try to say, like, compare it exactly to the meat product. Like, oh, I made this vegan roast beef, but it doesn't taste anything like roast beef. I mean, I think it's better just to think, oh, this is inspired by roast beef and it tastes different, but it's good in its own way or something.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, don't try to completely replace
Mhm.
it, like, just baby steps. I think that's great advice with anything in life,
Yes.
like, don't go too extreme,
Yeah.
just
Give
try a little
yourself
bit,
time.
see how it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and talk about the process of writing your cookbook. So, would you basically, like, take, like, a French recipe or a French idea and just try to experiment on how to recreate that? Like, what would be the process?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll take pictures of menus at restaurants and I'll just come home and like research the dishes because I'm not French, so I don't have
Uh-huh.
childhood connections with French food. I just find it to me it's just a passion of mine, a hobby that I found later in life. So I love learning
Yeah.
about it, and then I'll research it and read about it, watch YouTube videos, look up recipes, and then I'll start writing down different things I could try to substitute. Um, and I think if
Mhm.
you are going to go plant based, or if you're interested in going plant based, just knowing a few basic things you can substitute is really handy. Uh, do you mind if I share some?
Oh, of course, that'd be great.
Okay, so just a few go-tos, especially with French food. There's a lot of cream, as you know. Um, one of my
Yeah.
favorite easy, quick cream substitutes that doesn't require any soaking of nuts or marinating things overnight, things like that, is just coconut cream, pure coconut cream, and it's actually very easy to find in France. I found it everywhere here.
Mhm.
So it does taste like coconut before you cook it, but I find that once you throw it into a dish, it really doesn't taste like coconut once it's all cooked. So that's a good cream substitute.
Yeah.
And if you want to create like a cheese flavor, nutritional yeast, which is called levure de bière here, or like, you know,
Mhm.
I'm trying to think of another word, but it's like a brewer's yeast here. It's called nutritional yeast in the States.
Mhm.
You throw that into any dish and it creates kind of like a cheesy and sometimes even meaty flavor. So those are two of my favorites.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about those. What about butter? Like, is it the same like the coconut?
Oh yeah. Oh, so and for butter, I love to use coconut oil if the butter needs to be like firm, like a frosting, or for
Mhm.
baking. And then just for cooking, I pretty much always use olive oil. But you can get vegan butter also
Mhm.
everywhere in France. It's like margarine is back in, you know. It's just like now margarine
Yeah.
is plant-based butter. So
Oh, wow, I didn't even think about
yeah.
that. Yeah, margarine. You can get it
Yes.
everywhere. And who are your taste testers for your recipes? Would that be your family?
Yes, my husband and my daughter mostly. I've had a lot of people visit me, so whenever because I have this, property in France, and I love when people visit me, but I do use them as my guinea pigs. Like if I know people are visiting me, I just test my recipes. So
Yeah, so you're like, "You have to eat this."
Yes.
I mean, that's fine, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Has there been, like, stuff that you were like, "Oh, I really like this," and then you test it on other people and are like, "Oh, like, what is like, what's going on
Oh,
here?"
that happens all the time, and it's so disappointing because it's like, oh, does this mean all my recipes are bad? Like I'll get in my head, and then I'll test something that I'm like, this is just I don't think this is that exciting, and they're like, I love this. So it does give me some. It's important to have people give you some feedback on your work, you know. So
Yeah, definitely.
yeah,
Especially when it comes to something like taste,
hmm
because we all have such different tastes.
absolutely.
And when you're talking plant-based, you're on, like, the frontier of different tastes as well when you're trying to recreate, like, a French dish. Have you thought about expanding to other countries, like trying other countries' recipes?
Yeah, I think I was in Scotland a couple of months ago, and I really liked their food. It was so comforting and like this pub food, and they had a lot of really nice vegan options. So I think I'd like to keep
Mhm.
going back to the UK as well because they have so many vegan options, and I think I could learn a lot from them. So I think I'd like to. Now that I'm in
Mhm.
France, it's so easy to visit the UK from here. There's trains and planes and even buses. So I think I'd like to go there regularly and just learn from the restaurants there, the chefs there. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea because I think you could definitely expand this, and I do think, like, it is the future, like, more of a plant-based diet and better for everyone, better for us, better for the environment, and
Yeah.
it's really exciting, and as far as, like, publishing your books, like, do you have advice for people who might wanna try publishing their own books?
Oh, yeah. It's not easy, but it's so worth it. And I think everyone has a book in them. Like, I don't know a single person who doesn't have some story to tell or something to share. So if you want to publish a book, it's very easy nowadays because I personally, I don't know how you feel, Crystal, because I know you publish too, but I love Amazon KDP. Um, they have been,
Mhm.
especially for like ebooks, but just now Amazon has expanded to like paper book and even hardcovers now, and they have been the easiest
Yeah,
publishing platform to work with. Um,
yeah.
so it's if you need to learn you need to learn a little bit of book formatting, which isn't too hard with some YouTube tutorials. Otherwise, you could hire someone to do
Mhm.
that. You can create your own book cover on Canva, or you can hire someone. There's there's a lot of options, and there's tons of editors online, or you could ask someone who's very good at writing to be your editor for you. So I say go for
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, exactly. I feel the same way. I published on Amazon like you, KDP, and they really streamline the whole process and they just make it easy, and so many people use Amazon. So if you're looking to get your work out there, it's a great way to get discovered.
Absolutely. When I wrote my book, I didn't actually expect to sell that much. I thought just like some of my Instagram followers would buy it. And I was basically trying to put my
Yeah,
recipes into a book because people were, like as a handy resource for my followers, because otherwise my recipes are just like all over
yeah,
Instagram. But then I've like continually just kept seeing my sales like coming in on Amazon. I'm like, oh, these are not just my followers. These are people on Amazon buying my book. So yeah, it's a very big
yeah.
market.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are intimidated to be like, "Oh, author or, a book." But as you just said, once you just sit down and YouTube is a great
Oh yeah.
resource. Me too. I used YouTube a lot to figure stuff out. And even if you're on a low budget, like you said, you have friends that can write or Canva's great. It's free for design.
Yeah.
So there are options and you've already published 2 books. I mean, and do you have a third one in mind?
I have like 10 third ones in mind. um, that's the problem. It's like, how do you pick one idea and just stick with that one? But yes, I would like to. My daughter wants to write a cookbook. So I was thinking, I think my next cookbook is
Oh,
going to be like kids' recipes that are like not just strictly French, but plant-based recipes that like kids love. Because that's another thing I've heard people say to me is like, how do you get your daughter to actually like vegetables? And she does like them, but there's very certain ways she likes
yeah.
them. So I thought about maybe doing like a little gourmand cookbook, for little gourmands.
Oh, that's a great idea. I think so many people would like to get their kids involved in eating
Yeah.
vegetables like that would be great to have.
Yes.
Such a good idea. And what do you hope to do with your work? Like what is the long-term goal? Do you want to be in France forever? Do you want to keep writing cookbooks? Like what's the future?
Oh, yes, I definitely want to be in France forever. I did just receive my residence permit. After 1 year on the long stay visa, you're eligible for the residence permit, which I did receive. So next year, I'm eligible to apply for a longer visa. So there's this path, but in the long term, I think I would like to have the right to run some kind of business here, whether that's like a cooking school or retreats, centered around plant-based cooking in France. And just, I love sharing French culture and lifestyle and all that. So I think I would like to do something like that in the future.
I think that's a fantastic idea, and I don't know anyone else doing it currently, so you got to go for it. And congratulations on making your dream come true. Where can people connect with you online and continue to follow along on your journey?
I am most active on Instagram, and that's just Sarala Terpstra. My handle is Sarala Terpstra, my name. But you can also go to my website if you want to check out more about my cookbooks, and that's my website is just www.saralaterpstra.com. And also both my cookbooks are on Amazon.
Perfect. Well, make sure you pick those up, guys. We will share all of that in the show notes. And thanks so much for checking in with us, Sarala, making your dreams come true. We are so excited for you. And I can't wait to see what you'll do next.
Thank you, Crystal. Nice talking with you.
Thanks so much for tuning in to La Vie Creative. You can find more information on MissParisPhoto.com. And if you enjoyed this show, please feel free to share and spread the word for all my creative guests. We have the power to help them to keep doing what they love. See you next time.